Hi, I'm Melanie, and I'm a part of the Loretto volunteer program. Loretto not only provided me with the chance to work in immigration, but it has also given me the opportunity to explore all kinds of communities around me. This past November, I traveled to Tucson and walked across the border to Nogales. This video chronicles my experiences and thoughts throughout the weekend. The first location we visited was the Tucson courthouse so that we could see the proceedings of Operation Streamline. According to No More Deaths, Operation Streamline is an initiative of the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice with the intention of establishing zero-tolerance immigration enforcement zones along the U.S.-Mexico border. Prior to Operation Streamline, U.S. attorneys were able to exercise prosecutorial discretion, initiating civil deportation proceedings against most undocumented immigrants. But under Operation Streamline, defendants are represented by public defenders and court-appointed contract lawyers who may represent dozens of clients at a time, meeting with each one for only a few minutes before their court appearance. Judges condense the entire criminal proceeding, including initial appearance, plea, and sentencing into a single day. The assembly line nature of Operation Streamline hearings severely hinder attorneys' ability to effectively represent defendants and legitimate claims to immigration relief. Zero-tolerance enforcement zones and the threat of criminal prosecution and imprisonment, if apprehended, compel migrants to attempt crossings in more remote and dangerous terrain, inevitably increasing the risk of suffering and death during their journey. In fact, since Operation Streamline was first introduced in 2005, the border death rate has increased by 127%. Attending Operation Streamline set the precedent for the days to come. There was only more to learn, and I was ready to see how I could play my part in ending this unnecessary cruelty. The next stop that we made was to the Southside Presbyterian Church. Here is where we learned what it means to provide sanctuary for our immigrant neighbors. Immediately upon walking inside the church, I was overcome with a sense of love and strength, and I felt immediately at home. While we were there, two members of the church told us the story of Rosa Robles Loretto. In 2010, Rosa was pulled over for a minor traffic infraction. Even though Rosa never received a ticket, she was held on the side of the road for over an hour until the Border Patrol arrived to check her immigration status. Despite being a valued member of the Tucson community and parenting a family of 4, Rosa was placed in detention for 53 days before being released on bond. In July 2014, Rosa was informed that she would be deported from the United States. Not wanting to be permanently separated from her family, Rosa began living in sanctuary at Southside Presbyterian Church. Quickly, the community at the church sprang into action and began advocating on her behalf. Most notably, a group traveled to D.C. to speak out against the injustice. Even Rosa's son helped by writing a letter to Barack Obama about his mom. It reads, "I am 8 years old. I would like to ask you, please, do not deport my mom because I need her a lot. I already have had a month without her here in our house, and I miss her. 1 week ago, I got sick, and it was sad for me because I didn't have her love and care and her foods. When I go to school walking, I miss her because she gave me a ride to school. In baseball, when I play, I miss her cheers and screams. Basically, we need her, my brother and I. Please, Mr. President, leave her with us. Thank you." After 461 long days, Rosa's lawyer reached a confidential agreement with federal immigration authorities that allows Rosa to live without fear of deportation. Thanks to strong community support and advocacy, her family was finally reunited. The next location that we traveled to was the border in Nogales, Mexico. This was my first experience traveling to the border, and I was very unsure as to what I should expect. Upon entering Nogales, we learned the story of Jose Antonio, a 16-year-old Mexican boy who was murdered by border control. At the time of his death, Antonio was making no attempt to cross the border and was simply walking on the sidewalk in Nogales. The agent claims he was acting out of self-defense, but there is no evidence to prove so. Since the event occurred, many people have been speaking out against the abuse of border control and are demanding that Jose's murder go to trial. It has now been 5 years since the event, and the border agent has still not been prosecuted. The next stop on our journey was a shelter on the border that assists women in need of support and guidance. The shelter is run by a nun and provides women with a sense of security during a very difficult time. Many of the women were recently deported, separated from their families, and tricked by those who promised them a better life in the U.S. Visiting the shelter reminded me that there are thousands of untold stories and that they cannot be ignored. For our third stop, we visited HEPOC, also known as the Home of Hope and Peace. HEPOC is an organization that serves children, youth, and adults that live in an impoverished sector of Nogales, Mexico, just 3 miles south of the Mexico-U.S. border. Their primary goal is to help women and children prepare for a better future. HEPOC opens its doors and serves lunch to roughly 100 students per day, and we were able to see many students come through their doors. We were also given a tour of their additional facilities, which included a community garden, a playground, and the Women's Cooperative. The Women's Cooperative engages in various microeconomic projects, including sewing, crochet, and knitting. All of their sales support the women and their families, and the cooperative gives HEPOC a portion of all proceeds, allowing the organization to continue its work. This funding also helps raise awareness about the hardships of trying to migrate across the border. We then concluded our day by serving food at El Comedor. El Comedor was founded by the Keno Border Initiative and is a service that provides food and other amenities to those who are recently deported. But, moreover, El Comedor also provides individuals with a sense of dignity. After the food is provided, those who ate then assist with the cleanup. It was so beautiful to see how such a simple initiative could bring even a moment of happiness to those who are experiencing so much grief. The final stop that we made in southern Arizona was to No More Deaths. No More Deaths is a humanitarian organization with a mission to end death and suffering in the Mexico-U.S. borderlands through civil initiative. Their work embraces the faith-based principles for immigration reform and focuses on the following themes: direct aid that extends the right to provide humanitarian assistance, witnessing and responding, consciousness raising, global movement building, and encouraging humane immigration policy. No More Deaths maintains a year-round humanitarian presence in the deserts of southwestern Arizona. They work in the remote corridors in which migration has been pushed, where people are walking up to 30 to 80 miles. While here, our group hiked the trails and left water for those making their long journeys. Even though it seemed like a small effort at the time, a simple gallon of water can make all the difference between life and death for someone hiking through the desert. All in all, my travels to southern Arizona gave me far more than I anticipated. From attending Operation Streamline, to learning about Sanctuary, to seeing the compassion of so many nonprofits in Nogales, and to hiking the deserts where migration has been pushed, this short video doesn't even scratch the surface as to what I experienced this weekend. While in Nogales, one phrase echoed throughout the course of the weekend: "We make the road together by walking." This phrase teaches us that the only way we can ignite real social change is through active participation. I am so thankful for the Loretto community for providing me with this opportunity. Because of this experience, I feel more encouraged than ever to walk this road and continue on in the fight towards social change.